this up a little better so I look like a human being here. Got a little kink in my neck tonight, so I'm going to be a little prissy, but that's okay. We are here, we are alive, and we're here to talk about families and addiction and the struggles they face and go through. And perhaps we can discover some ways for them to, for you, a family member, to navigate this in a lot healthier manner and way, which will not only help you, but also help your loved ones and your family and friends. I got to go. Don't you know? Boom, boom, boom. There we go. Howdy ho, everybody. Welcome in. I'll just hang out for a minute, maybe have a piece of chocolate. I got some of these nice little chocolates today from the store. My wife blessed me and let me get chocolate. You know, the older you get, the more they watch your health. Hey, welcome in. That was a mean piece of chocolate. Absolutely. Welcome in. Glad you could join. Tonight's topic is families and addiction. I want to talk a lot about families and addiction tonight. I deal with families every day. I'm dealing with families right now going through crisis mode with some of their loved ones. And the biggest thing is that just like an addict or an alcoholic is powerless over alcohol and substances, a parent is powerless over their loved one. As much as you'd like to control them, fix them, put them on the right path, oftentimes it's almost impossible. And especially for someone so close to that individual where the feelings and emotions are so connected, for a family member to intervene is a very difficult spot. Usually the family dynamic has created a space where there's adversarial actions or positions, and most addicts and alcoholics are just not going to listen to family unless it's served and set up in an intervention in an appropriate way. Um, I've done a lot of interventions. I think it's how you come into it in the frame of heart and mind that you bring to an intervention with someone with addiction. Most people in a family that have been trampled over or ran over by someone using or drinking, it's almost impossible to do it alone. Um, if you could leave me a comment, let me know who's here and who's checking in. I'd appreciate it. Just a simple thing. One thing I would like to ask, a couple things, just for the sake of it. Hey, Jules, God bless. Thank you for stopping by. At the beginning, I'm always going to ask, please, if you can, subscribe, like, follow, share. And if you know someone that's struggling, there's a link in my bio for a free 20-minute consultation. Share it, give it away. It's free. Amen. Michael, Phoenix, Manuel, blessings. Welcome. YT Logan, amen. I'm over here trying to watch a screen down here on my computer, so if I look down, it's just because I'm half blind. What do? I'm an addiction specialist. I work between treatment centers and also helping clients and their families navigate the path out of addiction. Tonight, I want to talk about the family specifically, though, and what they struggle with and what they go through. Maybe you can engage in the comments and how you work with families. I can tell you how I work with families, and maybe we can share some solutions that can ease that pain, that suffering, and that anxiety. I am David. I'm blessed, man. I'm blessed beyond measure. You know, it's busy. Right now, I'm just talking about families and addiction. I'm dealing with two families right now that are struggling mightily with their sons, mid 30s, criminal cases, fentanyl involved. I don't like to talk about specifics too much because some of these platforms get kind of wonky about that, but the truth is the truth. Um, yes, it is. It's too. I mean, and the real issue is that just like I said at the beginning when many of you weren't coming in, for a family member, for an addict, it's one thing to do step one, for lack of a better word. I'm powerless and my life's become unmanageable. I can get it when I'm specifically talking about a substance or alcohol. For a family to admit they're powerless over their loved one and that their lives have become unmanageable is like a whole, like, what? But that's true. The anxiety, the sleepless nights, the frustrations, the anger, the arguments, the resentments, the disappointments, the shame, the guilt. What did I do wrong? How did this happen? Family members are just exhausted with that platform in their own head and their own thinking and looking at one another. And it actually is really detrimental to the family system until they can accept that they're powerless over their loved one and that their lives are becoming unmanageable because of it. I mean, I use that just as a frame of reference, but let me see. And so, like right now, I have a kid who's facing some real serious legal problems. I spent an evening with his family developing a contract to work with him to prepare him not only just to be sober and to go through the court situation, but also to come out the other end with a plan for recovery and a better life. Kid hasn't responded to me, to his attorney, or to his parents. And he's facing serious criminal charges. It's like he's on the run, and it's insane to me. Well, it isn't, because I used to be an alcoholic and an addict myself, and it's like catch me when you can. But the impact on his family, I got a picture from his father today, and it's the kid standing with his mom, and he looks healthy and vibrant. And the dad says, every time I look at this photo, I cry. And all I can do is support him and love him in the only way I can, and support, encouragement. We'll do the best we can. It's really up to him. You're powerless over it. I'm here if anything happens. I'm a support system for you. And it's horrific what the family goes through. But I'm there. That's my job. I was actually casing out a couple places today where this kid usually hangs out at, just trying to make contact with him. Because if I can see him and talk with him, perhaps I can communicate some reason and let him know it's not about sides. His family doesn't even want to be involved. They just want me to help him. But anything that comes through his parents, he's resentful of and pushes away. So I'm not going to give up until he's either locked up or something worse, and hopefully not. No, no. Driving around looking for a kid that's in his mid-30s that's facing multiple felony charges and looking to go to prison for over 20 years behind drugs and alcohol. Yeah. And he's so in his ism. We believe he's relapsed. He's getting high. He's on meth. And the criminal charges against this guy are like pretty serious. I'm not going to share them on live because it's personal and I want to respect his anonymity in the case. But I'm doing everything in my power to find this kid and help change the direction of his life. Thank you, David. I mean, I do it because somebody did it for me. And I've been trained very well by some of the best in the business. When a family takes me on to work with them and their loved one, they have my undivided attention, sometimes even to the detriment of my time with my own family. But my wife understands that this is a passion and something in my heart to help families and those of us that are struggling with alcohol and drugs when we can't help ourselves. Quick interruption here. Again, I appreciate all of you tuning in and listening. If you could, please subscribe to this channel, follow, share, put in there, any information or any questions you have. I'm here. I'm a professional at doing this with families and addicts. I get great results. Got a long track record. Who is this ninja? No subscribe, no like. Oh, John, don't hurt my feelings. I get it. I wouldn't like me either if I was trying to help someone get sober or help their family, but I know you're playing. Hey, Bryce, welcome back, brother. Good to see you. I have to take levity with this stuff. I mean, my wife tells me I'm too serious, and I have to try to have some levity in doing this work and joking around. Yeah, Amen. But you know what? One of the things is it is serious. 106,000 people a year are dying from fentanyl related overdoses, and that's just with that drug alone. We don't know with alcohol and everything else. And a lot of families don't have a son or daughter coming home. And if I can do or you can do something to help prevent that, that's a gift. That's a grace. That's something to have honor about. And I don't care what anybody says. I'm going to die doing the work I do because it's what was given to me. I know the pain of looking in a family's face, wondering if their son or daughter's alive or dead. Where they're at, what they're doing. It's scary. All right, Bryce, no problem, brother. And so it's one of those things that, like I said, this father today, him and his wife look hairy. They look just like beaten down. And they every day, like the father's writing me these texts, like, oh my God, he doesn't know how much we love him, but he hates us. And I'm sure there's family dynamics in there, but they care. You know, I think that families care at the bottom of their heart. They just don't know how sometimes, or because there's been so much trouble that's happened. That relationship is so strained. Families oftentimes are incapable of helping their loved one change direction. It takes someone like me or another professional to help. Um, Pray and be nice, always. I pray every morning when I get up. That first half hour is me and God time in the dark, in the quiet with my coffee, reflecting on the day. Peace, Sarah. Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate you. Um, and it's just one of those things where maybe you have a loved one or a family member that's struggling. I don't. Faith isn't a thing, faith is a place of the heart. Amen. It's not even a religious thing, it's just a way of being. Um, I remember what it was like. You know, when I started this journey to start expanding into pushing into helping families and loved ones and doing more interventions. Okay, give me a second and I will talk about that. That's a great topic, and maybe it's something that we can help families find and know and find solace in. I will share that in a moment. It's in my actually in the thumbprint or thumb whatever the hell they call that thing in this new technology for this thing. But you know, one of the things that when I first started this, I asked God, you know, what do you want me to do with this? You know, because it's an unknown. I've never really expanded into social media, you know, exposing myself to a large audience and letting them know I'm here. And everybody else was like, it's the money, 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 money. And I'm like, no, money is what it is. It comes and it goes. If you attach and chase money, it's not going to be about people. And I remember God, you know, I was doing holotropic breath work in the desert at a spiritual retreat. And he said, you know, I prayed and I said, God, this weekend, please guide my heart to see what you want me to do with this mission you've given me. And in one of my meditations and breath work, God spoke to my heart in a way that I listened. And it was like, remember when you didn't come home late at night and your mom cried and worried about where you were at and you felt like garbage? Remember when you stole the money for drugs? Remember all these things and how she felt? Yeah. Well, I think that that's who I'm sending you to help, son. You do that well, you follow that path, I'll take care of the rest. And so here I am talking with you tonight. My faith is really based in the walk with God, not in reading or preaching. Um, Let your love be the God that people see. Let the compassion be the God that people see. Oh, yes, I do. I'm lying? What am I lying about? I love it. Yeah, you could say that. But here I am talking to you, living a good life. My changing moment was in the middle of a life sentence in prison with no hope of ever coming home. And I remember being broken in that place of life where we don't know which way is up. In an ad seg cell in 1993, March 11th, about 1:30 in the morning. Let me see. And I remember I just got caught for possession of methamphetamine and being spun out, and I didn't know anything else to escape the pain I had inside. Bizarre. And I remember saying, God, I can't live a decent life and continue to do the things I'm doing. Help me. And I'd always had a faith in God growing up, not really knowing what that meant or even really pursuing it outside of just something I knew about or talked about or they made me go to church when I was little. Oh, yep, bringing it in, bringing the microphone in. Yep, let me put it right there. There we go. And I remember that night just having a moment of being outside of my body, looking at my life and realizing this isn't who I am. This isn't who I want to be. I don't know how I got here. It's like my whole life had been this blind path to that moment. And it was like I woke up and wanted something different. And from that point to now, God has not disappointed me. Amen. You're absolutely right, Barry. What prison system? California. 1984 to 2011. And I don't make mistakes and I don't cut bones with it. I am who I am. I'm humble, but I'm also I'm kind of a warrior for helping people. And I'll do whatever it takes to help someone. Oh, sorry, I thought you were bailing out on me. I would say that morning, Zara, that morning in that cell, everything I had ever learned about God, ever knew about God, ever thought about God became a reality. And I asked for help. And I believe that, my Lord and Savior, just my particular faith, heard that cry and delivered me from a lot of stuff in my life I could have never delivered myself from and put me on a path around people to teach me how to grow up and become the man I am. And so here I am doing this work diligently in service to God and to others. All right. You want me to be honest. I am always honest. I don't have any reason to lie. Yams, good to see you. Well, I mean, I did enough chemicals in my younger years to be an engineer. There's a joke for you. But it also ruined everything I knew and loved. I mean, I wish I could sit here and tell you that it was easy, but it wasn't. Anytime you realize something in your life is not healthy or broken, and that you're upset or frustrated with, or that you believe without question, but you know it's wrong, changing that is probably the hardest thing you're ever going to do in life. I'm glad it was, Zara. I really am glad it was. You know what? Sometimes it's easy and sometimes it's hard. I was a knucklehead. Hey, West Coast Bully. I didn't see you in there, my brother. You did 10 years in New Jersey. Whew. I don't even know what the prisons are back east. Those are old fashioned, I'm sure. I'm glad you're that strong, Zara. Sometimes, it takes a tribe. And when I first got sober, I had never really ever lived a free life or a responsible life. So some of us have a better shot than others. But I'm grateful that I didn't know anything because I was open to learning and changing my life and moving in a different direction. And with that, I was blessed beyond measure because my life is pretty amazing. I get to help people, I get to do the thing I love every day. Yeah, Yams, you're going to have to share that with me or message me that, Yams. I'll follow you, man. It's good to see humor. But back to what we were talking about. Families and addiction is a real problem out there. They don't know how to deal with or navigate their families. They almost are terrorized every night when they don't know where their loved one's at or what's going on. And it oftentimes takes a plan to help them navigate out of that stuck place and also help their loved one. It might be in the form of an intervention, whether direct or indirect, um, maybe just an offer of help in an appropriate and healthy way. I don't do interventions from a judgmental place. Most of my interventions come from a place of compassion, empathy, hope, and just asking their loved one to come back into the fold, to go through treatment and to get their life together, that they miss him or her. And oftentimes it goes well without a problem. First 30 minutes is usually kind of sketchy, but after that, once they've stuck and they see that it's not an attack therapy session, but someone that actually cares and the family wants them to get help, they usually go for it. And it's a blessing to see families healed and reunited. You guys are chatting and I love it. Hire me, I'll be a counselor. Yep. I need at least 25 an hour. Don't sell yourself short. If you do the work and you learn how to do the work well, you make a lot more money than that. But it really isn't about the money. If you do good work, the money will follow. That's what I was told as a young man in this process. And it's true. I mean, the money comes and goes, but the work, many people sell their souls for the dollar. And when they do that, the work fails. People read through that real quick. You know, if I was on here for 1999, I can talk to you for 5 minutes. You'd know I was selling snake oil. Hey, Tommy, bless you, brother. If you could subscribe, man, and keep coming back, I'd love that too, man. All your guys' subscriptions and ladies' subscriptions help this channel grow. Eventually, I believe next Wednesday, I'm going to have a guest speaker from the East Coast that does the same kind of work. It'll be more of a podcast format next week. I'm looking forward to having all of you there. If you subscribe, you'll get that alert that we're going to go live next week. Every Wednesday night and Saturday night, I'm going to be here for you. Oh, you're in heaven, Zara? Because that's where my mom's at. She passed away when I was 18. Whoops. I don't make fun of people's families, Zara. Hey, Phoenix, good to see you back, brother. Okay, I saw it, Yams. I'll check it out. Let me write that down real quick before it disappears on me. I'm a little old. Got it. Whew. Need a drink. So, what's going on here? Hey, Sherry. Welcome in. As an addiction specialist, for those of you that are chiming in and haven't been to my channel yet, I talk about issues related to alcohol or substance abuse or other addictions, because addiction isn't just about alcohol and drugs. It's to our thinking and our narratives and a lot of things in life that hold us back, that we're attached to in an addictive way, that are causing us problems and we can't let go of. And so tonight we're talking about families and addiction, families that struggle with a loved one and they feel powerless and overwhelmed and helpless, and how we can help them find a better way out. Oftentimes, families cannot do it alone. They need the help of a professional or somebody in their life to help guide them through that, to create boundaries and accountability. Yes. Mig, we all probably have some kind of a problem in our life. You're cozy. But for this, you know, how many of you know someone struggling with alcohol or substance abuse? Someone you love, someone close to you, or maybe you've watched them. It sucks. Maybe you're pissed off at them. Maybe they stole something from you or disrespected you, but it still sucks to see a friend or a loved one or someone you know struggling. Amen, Sherry. Congratulations. You know, it's the small steps that add up. I always tell people the first thing is identifying what's not working in our lives: drugs, alcohol. I can get anybody sober. That's the easy part. What we use or we drink behind, that's where the real work happens at. And usually it's about how we think about ourselves, about life, about guilt, self judgment, or just pain. There's a famous quote by Gabor Mate, a doctor of addiction, that I really appreciate. And he says, people don't use drugs to get high, they use drugs to escape pain. And I thought, wow. And that's so true. I mean, yes, it has the semblance of fun and partying, but how many of you out there have did alcohol or substances to a point where you just didn't like it and were disgusted by it? That's real. And that's when it moves from just being social into some form of abuse and eventually into dependency where I have to have it to survive. I'm reading comments as I go, trying to catch up after you. Thank you, Johnny. Appreciate you stopping through, brother. You know, I appreciate your subscribing to my channel. Those of you that have, and those of you that haven't, I would appreciate it, but there's no obligation. You can come here and not subscribe. But I want to have a place where we can come and, if you have a family, a loved one, or something you're struggling with yourself around alcohol or substances or life problems that you can't seem to navigate, let's come together and talk about it. You can email me at info@lifeoveraddiction and ask questions. Or if you want to be more personal and get more information about how I can help you, you can go to the link in the bio. I don't know which way this thing goes. And in there, there's a link for a 30-minute free consultation so we can have a conversation and talk about real life issues in more of a confidential way, because I won't do that in a public forum. You like nature? All right, Brian. I love the outdoors. You know, when I was doing drugs and alcohol and the craziness, I didn't think about going hiking or kayaking or anything. I thought about my next fix, the next high, the next escape, or how I was going to get it. And my whole life was like a rat race around that. And today, like later this month, I'm going to fly out and visit my little nephew, meet him, my grandnephew, for the first time. He's 1 year old. I get to fly out to Florida with my wife and see him. Next month, I get to take my wife to Vegas to a concert because she really loves the artist. And then I get to go with a brother I just met a couple years ago that I didn't even know existed, and his family and my wife to Kauai in June. And life is amazing. And I would have never thought about those kind of things. I've been thinking, how can I get high? How can I get high? How can I get high? Like a little rat in that maze on that little bottle hitting the button. And today I get to live free. So a YouTuber from Canada, I don't know. Maybe you have to send me a DM. Yes, it is, Brian. Life is a blessing. Serenity is pleasant, but it lacks the joy of great achievement. Hmm. I don't know. That's an interesting statement. Can I be achieving great things and doing great things and have serenity and peace in doing them? I think you can do both. Serenity is a state of being. It's a place of calm in the storm where other people need that to see hope. But you're still achieving great things and helping people. You have to maintain a balance in the fire. Is that fair? Red blooded American, who got off scot free? Curious. Congratulations on sober 15 years, Brian. That's a blessing, brother. I think having serenity amidst the storm is a great achievement. But I don't think we should chase emotions and feelings. I think we should experience them. I could be sad, I can be unhappy, I can even be bummed out. And there's a form of serenity in there and dignity that I can go through it with the faith that it will pass. I can have peace in the midst of the storm. That's true. I learned that within the prison system after the last 18 years before I came home sober and found a place of peace and gratitude and probably more freedom than I'd ever known before going to prison. The Source 87, I am from America. But ultimately, I'd like to think I'm human just like you and all of us here tonight. Yes, yes, it is, Johnny. Serenity is acceptance, but it's also perseverance. It's a state of being that no matter what's going on, I'm not going to run anymore and I'm going to stay my ground in a place of dignity and respect and honor. And I don't retreat from whatever I'm struggling with. And if I don't know what I'm struggling with, I have the serenity to stay in it and ask for help. Whew. Half Hawk, you are absolutely right. If I don't know that I would be here talking with you tonight, the man I am, and doing the things I do, had it not been for my experiences. For the first 19 years of my life, I was a rabid animal, chasing drugs and alcohol, criming, ripping, and running, and didn't care about anything, including myself. The next 27 years was in prison, where I went through a major transformation about halfway through. Began to find myself in a crucible of prison and pain and despair, but I found freedom in that place, a freedom that they couldn't take from me. And when I came home, I got to build a life based in that place and help myself and help others daily. And it's pretty amazing. So, yes, it takes some pain, it takes some struggle. None of this is easy. It's just a matter of what you're willing to go to. Are you willing to go to any lengths, like they say, to have an amazing life or even a good life? Yep. Red blooded American. You know, the thing is, for a moment, they're exciting, but the handcuffs or the broken relationships or the self guilt or the negativity, no, none of that's fun. I don't miss any of that. And if for a brief moment of escape with a substance is going to cost me all of that, then I'd rather just be sober and go without. And I tell clients, and for personally, I don't even mess around with anything that could alter the space between my ears, because I know that, the old saying, Vegas always wins. If you've built a neural pathway or a habit or an addictive space in your head, why would you even gamble with that, knowing that every time you have, it's ended up in failure and dismay? I have never been able to drink or smoke or use in a healthy way that didn't end badly. If you have, maybe you can do a little bit more research. But for me, I'm good being sober. I always have an alcoholic. I'm in remission. That's what they say. The alcoholic, when they say that, Zara, and I'm going to get a little scientific here. Um, Everything we do is learned behavior. How you tie your shoes, how you play baseball, how you bat, everything is learned behavior. One and one is two, all that. Addiction is a habit. It's a habit with progressive consequences. And what a habit is you did something so much, you have a neural pathway. And some of us that did alcohol and drugs a lot, that neural pathway is very strong, and it's called addiction. It's called drugs, alcohol, escape. In the face of any stress, any anxiety, it fires and says, I know how to deal with this right now to make it go away. And the more you do it, the stronger it gets. That's why when we get sober, we still have thoughts, we still have cravings, we still have those, like, I deserve to self soothe moments. But that's what it is. It's nothing more than a neural pathway. I will always be an addict and an alcoholic accordingly, but I don't have to operate from that neural pathway anymore. I have freedom. I have a program. I have people in my lives. I have responsibilities. Those are the things that counterbalance that pathway today and that I live to. It also helps to ignore criticism from anyone whose advice you don't value. Ah, here's the deal. For a long time, I was addicted to validation. I needed you to like me. because I didn't have an identity. I needed you to give me my identity, or whatever we were doing was my identity. And at one point, I did some things based on giving other people what they wanted rather than doing what I wanted, and ended up going to prison. I didn't go to prison for drugs and alcohol, although that's a thing. And that's part of it. The real reason I went to prison is because I couldn't tell the guys I was with that night I just want to go home and take a cup of Valium and go to sleep. This is stupid. How many of you have been in a position in life where you're confronted with a situation where you don't want to do whatever it is that's going on, but you don't have the voice to say that? And so you do it and you feel regret and you feel pain. Amen, Genevieve. There's a million things we can do to better our lives and help us maintain sobriety. There's a lot of tools out there, a lot of people, a lot of support. Hmm. I love how we get. I don't even want to call you guys trolls. You're just having fun talking out and having fun with it, man. Do what you do. I'm going to continue to try to help people, man. I love y'all being here and hanging out. Hmm. You know what's crazy is that the thing I miss about prison was the tight relationships with people where we could be honest and supportive and serious and helping one another. We knew one another at a deep level. We were friends. We were partners. We were connected, and we worked together as a unit. That's the piece I miss. I find that in the program in some ways. I find that in friends in some ways. But there's a thing about having a band of brothers or a band of a family of friends that are all on the same page, that want a better life and are working that way together and supporting one another. That's also recovery. That is the recovery. That is the tribe that we belong to if you're on the path. And it also is something that I want to let families know. If you have a loved one or you're struggling, there's help out there for you. There's support out there for you. I'll have more things coming down the line for families and friends and employers. But for right now, there's hope. The shadow box on my wall, Kelly, let me turn this a little bit so you can see it. My grand sponsor, that was his, when he does sage and breath work, he that's what he would smudge people. That's a smudge fan before ceremony to cleanse them of negative energy. And before he passed away in 2020, about within 3 years of passing away, he was giving me all his little mementos, and he gave me that as a gift to remind me of cleansing people and doing the work. And so it's in a box. It's sacred to me. It's some of these things are very sacred. Like this little photo here is a bunch of guys that are like convict, criminal, drug addict types, but they're each holding a flame, and God behind them or Christ behind them is the source that's speaking through them to help people. I keep that close to me. Um, that's I don't know if that helped. Hey Johnny, we're talking about addiction, recovery, life. Predominantly tonight, I wanted to try to get into talking about family, and I keep coming back to that. It's not, I was hoping to have more family members and loved ones, or maybe even you have a family member or a loved one out there that's struggling. And if you have questions or you need support, that's what this is about tonight. This live is about families, your loved ones, friends that are struggling. Maybe you're struggling, and how to find a way out or to set healthier boundaries. I'm sorry to hear that, Genevieve. Prayers to you and your family on the loss. Yeah. I've lost a lot of friends that I couldn't be there for. I mean, I actually had the blessing of being free when my grand sponsor, I had gotten the call that he was close, and I flew to Indonesia to say goodbye to him. I flew 18 hours across the world to go spend 3 or 4 days with him and say goodbye and pray with him. And I love him, and he's still with me in the spirit. He and my sponsor Richard. I think that energy, the experience, the wisdom that they gave us carries on within us. That is prayer feathers, Benno. It's a smudge. It's a smudge fan for when you do breath work, or actually when we go out and we do sweat lodge. It's what you fan the sage or white sage to cleanse and purify before you go into the ground. So you go in clean because you want to go in a clean spirit before you start doing that kind of work. Let me see. You guys are really, I love it. That's okay, brother. You know, it's not something that the men. My grand sponsor actually was taught by Native Americans, and we call it a stone lodge, not a sweat lodge per se, because we want to honor and respect the indigenous people of this land. Yeah, I mean, it was something that when I pass on, it'll go to somebody else because the significance of it is that it was used to help cleanse men of their that negative energy, that toxicity they brought to the lodge. And so, hey, hey Johnny, thank you for that honest comment. You know what the craving is? Here's a crazy thought, and I appreciated that. Can I read that out loud? I want to read that. I'm going to get focused on this possibly thought. Um, so I've come to the right place. I'm currently addicted to meth or addict to meth. Been clean for almost a whole year, but now I'd be lying if I told you I don't crave it this day. To this day, I understand. Meth was my drug of choice as well because I have ADHD, and when I first did meth, it actually fixed the problem. Little did I know it was going to steal my soul for years. I don't know. Black or red right now? I'm not sure. Um, the season, the direction, I'm not sure. But one of the things that I think most of us, Johnny, when we're in that year, 2 years, 3 years, even where I'm at with 32 years sober, it's not so much the drug; it's the memory of the drug and what it does. In a moment where we want to self-soothe, we want to escape, we want to check out, and it's like that little neural pathway that says addiction. I know how to do that. Fires, and it says, wouldn't it be nice, man? Yeah. And then you got to go, whoa, 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 whoa. Because we know that initial thought, that initial craving, that initial, like, it would be nice to self soothe and check out, leads to devastation in our lives. I want to normalize that we do have thoughts and we do have feelings and call it a craving, call it a thought, whatever. But it really is, I'm going through stress, I'm struggling, and I want to self soothe or escape rather than calling somebody, going to a meeting, going for a hike, going to the gym, taking a hot bath, eating a pint of ice cream, a million, whatever you got to do to get through that moment, and it will usually pass. But I always say if I'm having a real problem in here and I can't get it out of here, I go talk to somebody I trust because usually that just relieves it and I can move on with my day. Yeah, I mean, alcohol and substances are a trip. And when we really look within and look at what it does in our lives and how it destroys us, but I call it like the worst codependent relationship I've ever had. It's like, why do I love this substance that continues to destroy me and I can't leave it? You know what I mean? I mean, if you've got a problem with alcohol and drugs, that pretty much sums it up. Let me see. Thank you, Genevieve. I appreciate it. I mean, I love this stuff. Love helping people. Love just having conversations about healthy things and helping people. Again, just as a reminder, appreciate your subscriptions and follows and likes and shares. It goes a long way to helping me reach people. You know, it's these social media, this stuff is all new to me. Some days it's a lot more than I can understand, and I just got to keep moving forward. But I do know that the more you like and subscribe, follow, and share, the more people become aware, and the more people we can help and reach. And so I appreciate each and every one of you for coming through and spending some time with me tonight. You made my night special. Even the jokesters, I appreciate and love you too. So, yeah, I think that the real goal of everything we do is to help one another be better people, to navigate the painful moments in our lives that created trauma and hurt, that made us turn to substances or alcohol or whatever other thing we were doing or participating in to escape, and to find a better way out. You're welcome. Yeah, I'll be here every Wednesday and Saturday night at 7 o'clock, even when I'm on vacation. I'll step away in the casino and do a live up on a roof or out in the street. I don't care. But this is for you. This is for families. This is for the addicts still suffering. This is for me. I need all of you just as much as I hopefully you need me and want me around. Bilbo, I have a couple videos if you want. There's a video I did on that, and there's a lot of information on that. See, the interesting thing about sex addiction, Bilbo, is it's no different than drugs and alcohol in the context that it all operates in here. Actually, sex is one of the more, well, they call it procreation in the brain. The amygdala cares about three things. Inside your brain, there's this thing called the amygdala. And I don't judge people for anything. So I'm glad for your honesty in putting it out there. What happens is that in that primal part of our brain, it's like the baby in the back seat. It's really quiet and only cares about homeostasis and balance in our life. But what happens when it cares about really three things: procreation, pleasure, and survival. Well, at some point with a sex addiction, the pleasure becomes an escape. And you lose the natural ability to have intimacy with a woman sometimes because now I just watch porn and that's not normal sex. Thank you, Genevieve. God bless you, and I hope to see you often when I'm on. Have a blessed day, and my prayers are continuing to be with you and your family, all right? If you need anything, send me a note. I'm here. And so, thank you. The whole thing with sex is like, why do I do that action? It helps me escape for a brief moment. I'm addicted to that. It's not even about the porn. It's about that feeling. It's about that rush. It's about that release. It's like that high. But then I feel dirty and shame and guilt. So I go do it again and again. I've got friends that struggle with that. Really good friends. They're better now. They still struggle, but it's about that space in the brain that gets that dopamine hit, and I crave it. I want it, and then it really impacts all my relationships. And so, I mean, that quick fix, that high that it gives you, and the abnormal way in which I mean, let's just be honest, porn is not real. It's some staged movie to make it look that way. What do you replace it with? A community, a group of people, honesty, recognizing it, learning what a healthy relationship is, how to have a healthy relationship with self. Um, there's a lot of different tools and ways in which you can move into a different space to find that connection, that excitement. Rather than that, um, I think normal intimacy with a woman, when you can develop a healthy relationship and understand that it's not porn and it's not a quick fix, it's a life journey and it's intimacy, not porn and not, masturbation. Yeah, that's really it's almost like anything else. You have to acknowledge it for what it is and move in a different direction and develop a different platform in your life, a different space in your thinking. Thank you, Johnny. Appreciate you, man. Hopefully you come back, and if you ever have any questions or if there's some points, I'd love to get into having a discussion with you, man. I love to learn. And if I've missed something or I'm off point, I'm always teachable. I think that's the gift that I learned from my elders in the recovery journey and in life is that I don't know it all. I'm always learning. So I appreciate you stopping by. What time is it? We've been on 15 minutes, but there's a lot of you on here. I appreciate you coming through. Trauma, trauma, trauma is at the root of many things. And trauma, sometimes that word has been manipulated in a way where people only see big traumas or this epic trauma, this epic event. But sometimes trauma can be micro traumas, it can be small traumas that happen over time. I'd appreciate it to learn, brother. I'm serious as a heart attack, man. You got to DM me. Let's have a call. Let's talk. I'll even get with you on the phone. I'm willing to learn, man, John. Appreciate that. Info on Mad Season. Man, I'm half blind. Let me go over to my phone. Don't mind me. Oh, Slush, you got a sense of humor. I like popcorn too. Well, you got to mess up my popcorn moment. Well, I mean, yeah. But the thing is, let's just be honest. You're making me think now. I like that. I'm a human being. I'm prone to being manipulated by things that make me feel good. Most human beings pursue the easier path, the feel good path. Not just addicts and alcoholics, but most people want that easy, fun, joyous path. When they find something that works, they usually pursue it. For some of us, we find something that doesn't work, or it works, but it's not healthy, and it has this insidious part to it that we feel shame or guilt behind. I'm going to say that we're human beings and we fall prey to things, and that I'm not going to operate in shame and guilt tonight. I'm going to say that that place, if it does bother you, it's time to move to a place of accountability and learn new coping mechanisms, new ways to express yourself and have fun and joy and find pleasure in life. If you do that well, the desire for that other stuff will diminish. Doesn't mean it isn't going to come up or have the thought. I just don't act on it anymore. I can see it and not act on it. I was told early on in this journey that if you change a thought, you change an action. So it's really if I have it going on in here and I can change the thought or have somebody else help me change the thought, I'm not going to act and I live another day. And sometimes it's just stringing a day to day. Sometimes it's just stringing an hour together because sometimes it can get pretty crazy for us. Let me see what's going on over here. Yeah. No. Edmund, what kind of trouble you trying to cause tonight, man? Man, it's for me, a lot of the reason that I couldn't leave addiction outside of the fact that I had a neural pathway that was so overwhelmingly in charge of my life is from a young age. I had a narrative that I was a little bastard kid that nobody loved or wanted. I had a lot of abandonment issues. I had a lot of feelings of unloved, unworthy, nobody cares. When I started to find that with friends, with stealing, with having things, with drugs, with alcohol, with chaos, I found that validation. I found that family. I found that high. I think I was more addicted to the validation and to the lifestyle than I was to the drugs and alcohol, to be honest with you. Walking away from that was probably harder than walking away from the drugs and alcohol. Let me see. Just say it's from a movie. It's the Chicken Jockey. Okay, there you go. What movie is that, Edmund? So I'm grateful for all of you being here and for your sobriety and doing the things you do. Oh, Minecraft. I don't know if my nephew or my niece is into Minecraft. I've really never, I mean, I have a couple games on my phone I play with, probably too much. My wife, it probably drives her crazy, but I need my medication to escape and sometimes just relax and slow my brain down. I still have ADHD and I can just do a lot of things, but sometimes I just need to stop and focus. So, well, pastor's a big word, but I'll take it. The smell of boiled poop. I would just like to say I'm a human being helping people, but I mean, I've got a lot, I've been called a lot of things. So, pastor's not a bad one. You know, one of the things that's true is that when we get sober and we learn how to heal the wounds within our souls through that process, when we reach out to help other people, I believe that's the highest form of faith or spirituality or religion is that we're allowing God to use our experiences to help other people. It's not us. Well, everything I'm sharing with you tonight is somebody helped me, and I've had these life experiences that I've healed and continue to work on healing. And so when I'm sharing it with you, it's not like I'm sharing it with you. It's like God brought you here for a reason. He brought me here for a reason. And we're just sharing with one another, and He's speaking through us. There's a big humility in that space to know that the work I do is not my own and that it's for a higher calling. And that there are a lot of people just like me around the world doing the same work and God being of service. So if there's something in your life, I see the word shame pop up a lot tonight in the last few little group here. Shame is one of those things where I hate the word. One, I think shame is this may piss people off, and I don't mind. Shame is an escape. Shame is a poor me excuse not to be responsible for the things I'm guilty of. It's avoidance. It's me being resentful of you for what I failed to do. It's being angry at society for me being irresponsible to step up and be responsible for myself. And when I become accountable to those things, I don't live in shame anymore. I actually develop a sense of honor and integrity to how I live my life. So shame is one of those things I don't have time. If you want to be stuck in shame, good. If you want to come out of it and you want to live a healthy life and become accountable, let's go and take the day. And that's there's some things I'm real serious about. Shame kept me in prison. And when I say prison, prison of the soul. Oh, my poor me. I'm no good. I was a bad son. I failed in society and on and on and on and on. Okay, so what? That was yesterday. What are you going to do today? Okay, well, I'm going to learn how to live in accountability. I'm going to learn how to live in integrity. I'm going to practice and do different things with my life moving forward. And the more I do that, the more I become that. And today, I appreciate the likes and the dislikes because that at the end of the day, I like myself. I can finally say I appreciate and respect my journey, and it's a good path. I'm free. And so can you. You can find a path and be free. If you struggle, like again, I'm going to say this. I thank you for your subscriptions, follows, likes, and shares. And if you haven't, I'd appreciate it. But more importantly, if you're struggling with something or you have a level in struggling with something, go to my link in the bio, click on the free 30-minute consultation, and let's see how I can help you. That 30 minutes is free. Maybe if I can, we'll talk about something more, but if not, I'm going to give you everything I can to point you in the right direction to help you. We'll look up resources, we'll explore things. That's for you and that's free. Yeah, hey, Bill, but woo, you get me going on shame. I mean, some of the therapists don't like it too much because, they've made a living off of living in people's shame. No disrespect, but I don't have time for that. If you have a flat tire, I'm not going to sit there and look at the flat tire with you. I'm going to say, I see the flat tire. What do you want to do about it? When I got sober, my mentor, it was torture because he'd walk by and he didn't have time to waste. He was helping a lot of men find the path back. It wasn't sober, was just we were all sober. We didn't know how to live. And so he'd come by and say, hey, Lance, you want to work on that? No? Okay, let me know when you do. I'll see you later. And he'd bounce and leave me sitting on the curb pissed off and go help somebody else. And his whole reasoning was, why would he waste time trying to help me when I wasn't ready or willing, when there were 20 other guys ready and willing to do the work and have a better life? And it might seem cold and callous, but if he spent more time with me and my unwillingness, how many people could die that he could be helping while I'm sitting there stuck in my shit? So sometimes it's just a matter of getting up and doing it. And if you're not ready, let me know when you are. I'm here. It kind of sounds crazy, but I never thought I'd feel that way or believe that way, but it's true. There's this line I love in one of my favorite movies, Shawshank Redemption. I actually live that movie, but that one line where it says, get busy living or get busy dying." And I'm about helping people get busy living. And if people want to stay stuck, want to argue for their limitations, want to complain about the state of their lives, it's like this. If that's what you choose, then you're choosing to get busy dying. I'm going to go help the people that want to get busy living. That's why I'm here. That's hopefully why you're here. Song Jones. Oh, that's a way to put it. Lynette, welcome. Hey, Caucasian man. Peace. Much love. So yeah, this is today. I'm glad a lot of people showed up today. Today the topic is families and addiction, because I really want to talk about, or have talked about it multiple times throughout this, how families struggle with loved ones going through addiction or struggles in life. And just like the addict or the alcoholic is powerless over the alcohol or substances when they're actively engaged in that process, so are most families when they're actively engaged with a loved one struggling with alcohol or substance abuse. They're powerless over it. They cannot change their loved one. They can't force them to change. They can't force them to get sober. They can't do anything. And that it's a feeling of powerlessness to watch a loved one destroy themselves that's unbearable. And I deal with it every day. I do everything from pre-interventions to interventions and aftercare, and that's what I do with my life every day. Right now, I'm in a couple really deep ones, but that's what we're here about tonight. Yeah, is it shame or just my guilt that I'm not? That it's more of a guilt thing than a shame thing, though, right? It's like I know I'm guilty. I'm living a squirmy. I'm more probably about how I'm living my life than the actions I'm doing. I think shame is a state of like perception that I'm no good and I'm a piece of garbage and blah blah blah. But guilt is the root thing. If I had to draw it out in a graph, I'd put guilt in the middle, shame down below, and accountability above it. And I believe that most people that avoid being accountable to guilt live in shame. The minute you choose to become accountable for what you're guilty of, you move up here into accountability and freedom or sobriety. And that's a journey, don't get me wrong, but this is where we want to be. We don't want to live down here. This is an excuse and an escape from what we're guilty of. So it's avoiding guilt that creates shame. I can go there. I'll give that much ground. Thank God I don't have to work tomorrow. You are, Johnny. Yeah. Now you see what I think when I hear shame. I'm like, oh, I get attached to those places of guilt that are unresolved, and I beat myself with them, and I accuse myself, and I place myself in a place of unforgiveness. Poor me, and I did too much. Get off of the pity party and let's go do it. Let's get straight. Let's go become accountable. Let's stand up today and move. And I guarantee in a matter of time, you're going to feel better about your life. You're going to find freedom in here. That's what it's about. People pleasing? Thank you, Freshly Wild. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. What about people pleasing? People pleasing, let's go back. Oh, I love this. You guys are on point tonight. For me, people pleasing is chasing validation. And that was my number one addiction. Red Dog, I ain't never been right. So welcome to the show. You better give me a subscribe for that, man. Don't be bullying the old people, man. Much love your way, Red. Let me see. People pleasing. Well, it's good. I'm glad it's here tonight, and I'm glad people are chiming in and asking questions and being involved. It makes it easier for me, and I enjoy this. I appreciate y'all coming in. I'm going to go back and find that place. People pleasing. Bilbo, people pleasing. I guess it's, for me, I would call it a validation addiction. And if you think about it, I needed people to like me. I didn't have an identity. I didn't like the way I was living. I didn't like the way my life was. And the minute that I found people that were doing things that I enjoyed, that accepted me, where I fit in and felt comfortable, I got the pat on the back for doing crazy stuff. That was my tribe. I had to have them. Where was this my whole life? From my broken childhood, I found something I didn't want to ever let go of. It was like a drug. And so I was doing things that many times I didn't want to do for that validation. Call it people pleasing, call it validation chasing. Ultimately, I went to prison for that, as I said earlier. Yeah. Spencer, you want to give me 10,000? I'll tell you what I would do with that 10,000. You want to know the truth? I'd pay some bills, and I'd take one, give one family a free ride on helping their loved one get into treatment. It isn't the money part of this stuff I love because it's not about the money. You know why I say that? Because God's always taken care of me. Ever since I started this journey with the rubber tubs out here, as I got out of prison from doing 27 years in 2011 I came home after 27 years with a rubber tub with all my life possessions in it. And from that point to now, the gift of recovery and freedom that I found in the work we're talking about has given me the ability to ask for help and follow direction in many aspects of my life, from business to Wall Street and stocks, to buying a home, to relationships and having a beautiful wife who I love dearly. I know you're watching. It's true. A mother-in-law that is always around and gives me grief, and I give her grief, but I love her because I can do for her what I couldn't do for my mom when I was in my addiction. Those things are special. That's why I do this. Today I don't, in the validation piece, the only person you ever have to validate, and if you're living your life decent, is you. Because today you can like me today and hate me tomorrow, and I'm going to be okay with that because today I have respect and dignity. And I didn't have that before what we were talking about before sobriety. What do I do? I'm an addiction specialist, Game Legacy, and I work with families, their loved ones. I also work in treatment centers helping individuals find their path back to life and freedom, and the freedom from in here where they get caught up in that cycle of escape and pain. Um, I do pre-interventions, interventions, treatment placement, and aftercare with a lot of clients because I believe that it's important to have one person guide them through the entire thing. Because a lot of people don't understand addiction or treatment. And if you have a loved one and you have no idea about what's going on in the world, you pick up 1-800 treatment and trust whoever's on the other end of that line. That's crazy to me. Because there's a lot of call centers out there that are shady as hell and do really not good work. I'm trying to be very polite here and not use foul language because I have nothing but disdain for people that take advantage of struggling families and their loved ones. They're disgusting. Because this is a painful thing. When a family calls for help, they should get everything they deserve and more. I mean, I see people paying God money to send their loved ones to places where they're getting nothing. And I'm like, man, if I had half of that, your loved one would have the best therapist, the best psychiatrist. I would be with them every day or at least every other day doing work. And they would have an amazing life if they were willing. So, yeah, I'm a little pissy about that one. You got me out of my element there. That's some people. When I see people taking advantage of people in this field where there's sick people and hurt families, I don't have any ground for that, and I'll call it out. Yep. It does kind of say that. To say that I love myself and my life and the gift that God's given me, I would say even more important than love is freedom in here. Because that's love to me. Is I've given myself a life of freedom. I'm no longer constrained by pain or hurt or anger. There's freedom in here. That's the greatest gift ever. That I don't have to escape anymore. I don't have to run away from myself anymore. I can just be me, my dorky old self helping people. Would you join the new order of the temple? Captain Shadow. I don't know anything about that. For me, I don't really have any comment either which way on that one, my brother. Nelson Mandela is an amazing soul. I love to read some of his writings from time to time. Anyone who's struggled and never given up and persevered and came out the other end stronger and without resentment, without venom, without judgment is a saint to me. Another one I like, if you ever get a chance to read a book that is a powerful book, I read it once a year. It's called Up Out of Slavery by Booker T. Washington. And there's a line in there, well, I'll paraphrase it. He's in the South, he was born into slavery, a young black child, and he wanted to be educated. He went through all of this stuff just to learn how to read and write and basic education. But he was committed. And in his journey, one day the North won the Civil War, and the soldiers from the North were coming to plantation to plantation, and they had the slave owners on the porch, and they had the soldiers on one side, the slaves on one side. And this guy from the government would read the Emancipation Proclamation, look over to the slaves, and say, "Today you are free men. You are free." And wow. And so Booker T. Washington talking about this experience when these soldiers and this man from the government came and told everybody they were free, recalls it as that day and that evening in the slave quarters, everybody was partying. They were pulling out their stashes. They had their little hooch or their food. It was just like a raucous party. But he said as the night wore on, it got quieter and quieter. And he noticed that people were slinking up to the slave house, to the master's house, to negotiate how they could stay on. And he said it was one of the most amazing things he had seen in life is that a free man didn't know what freedom was. And how many of us are like that in addiction? Free men do not know what freedom is. So we go back to the slavery. We go back to the addiction. We go back to the things that hold us in bondage because of fear. And we don't have to do that no more. There's enough of us here to help one another get out of that crap. I don't know. I don't really watch wrestling there, Batty. What time is it? Oh, it's past my bedtime. Old man status. Appreciate all the engagement. I appreciate all of you being here, but I do have to be disciplined. Um, I am here every Wednesday and Saturday night at 7 o'clock. Um, I hope to see you again. Hopefully, you subscribed to my station, liked, followed, and shared so we gain other people to come to the party and talk about freedom and sobriety and freedom in life because addiction isn't just about drugs and alcohol. I think that's what we'll talk about on Saturday night. And let's all continue to fight the fight and be good to one another and live decent lives and pursue freedom, both in our lives and the lives of those around us. So until Saturday, I appreciate all of you being here, coming through and visiting and spending time with me tonight. And with that, I'm going to bless you and say have a great weekend or until we meet again on Saturday. Peace.